just finished. Pharmacy, drugstore, whatever. Now going, driving back home. Waiting for a hurricane. It's like waiting for the jury to come back in. You never know what the verdict is going to be. And if it's guilty, you spend the rest of the evening hoping for a stay of execution. Right now, the only thing in my mind is all the newsreels you see on TV of entire towns that have been wiped out, trailer parks that no longer exist, insurance you haven't got or neglected to buy when the weather was good. You wonder if your relatives are okay. They live just around the bend. You wonder if they got enough water, if they got enough food. Canned goods are a popular item. You wonder if you have enough munchies to keep you satisfied. I should be out of here by now. But everybody's treating it just like another day. Nothing like nasty weather to take your mind off your current troubles.
7 of us now.
Suddenly your bad deeds take second place to the impending storm. As I ruminate on my impending ruination, my thoughts turn to the Bible, to Psalms, and the information it holds, the inspired words. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. We have certainly kept counsel with the ungodly, and have stood in the way of sinners, have sat in the seat of the scornful. I've done all these things to the point where I've become a sinner myself. As I watch the storm clouds gather, I feel the time is right to make amends, to repent for things I have done. I may not have pulled the trigger, but I was there. I didn't see it happen, but I heard the noise. And I buried the dead. I never, ever tried to save anybody. I went along I went along because I was paid and I was broke and I wanted money. I thought only of myself. Now it's time to think of others. Hey, the weather in Florida is like a great improvisational jazz musician. You never know what you're going to get when the man wanders out on stage. You just know his reputation precedes him, and he's going to give you something decent, something good to listen to. Might start with drums in the distance, thunder. Might start with a little rain coming down soft and slow. And then more thunder, more clouds, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. It's all there, flooding the gardens, keeping the lawn wet. And it might go on for a few minutes, might go on for a few hours, you never know. The thunder comes at times, keeps odd times, I should say. Always surprising, always makes you jump. But ultimately it's soothing. Ultimately, it just rains and puts you to sleep. Ultimately, if you can live through the rough stuff. In the morning, it's all light and sunshine. To a common criminal who didn't think more than 2 minutes into the future, Villy's lies seemed like an act of genius. But to the girls, all of whom were very, very smart, Villy's lies had the life expectancy of a housefly. First question, can America not afford something better than peanut butter and jelly? To which Villy responded, this is just a quick snack. Get some vitamins in you, hold you until tomorrow morning. We'll have a big breakfast. Big breakfast never came. It was more PBJs. After breakfast, it was training and or grooming, depending on how you want to look at it. I used AI and puppets to depict this. I wasn't there when they were doing this type of training, which consisted of self-defense, running, exercise. I called it being puppetized. These girls were being trained for something, I didn't know what. After this, I would take them to the motel. They didn't speak much on the way in, but horrors awaited as I dropped them off. They didn't really talk much about it at all, but they left me notes. Nothing that was happening there was any good. Then I drove home, blissfully unaware of the damage that was being done to these beautiful, innocent girls. When I was a kid, my parents went to church. I went to church with them. That's me standing next to the curb in my Sunday suit. I learned right from wrong, going to church. I listened to sermons I thought were boring and could hardly get through. But I knew what was right and I knew what was wrong. I towed the line until I discovered rock and roll. One night, while watching Ed Sullivan, he introduced the Beatles, and that was it for me. Soon after, I got a guitar and started learning how to play. On a trip to New York, my grandmother bought me my first fan magazine. The Beatles were on the cover. I was immediately enamored with fame. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to play the guitar. I wanted tens of thousands of screaming fans to like me, to love me. I couldn't even write a song at that point. My parents thought rock and roll was wrong. Of course, I thought it was right. I wanted to be in a band. I wanted the screaming fans as fast as I could get them. Soon, I got an electric guitar, and I found a few friends. We started a garage band. Although they gave me guitars and guitar lessons and bought me record albums, usually from the grocery store, they still maintained that rock and roll was the devil's work. I maintained that it wasn't. So my mother and I, we had a game. The game was called, Is It a Sin? Or Is It a Sin Yet? I would play part of a song for my mom on the record player, and we would discuss whether or not the song was sinful. Twist and Shout was a sinful song. Who needed to twist and shout at the same time? My mother's asked, unless, of course, a house was on fire. But Yesterday was a beautiful song. My mother liked it very much. There was another song, if I'm not mistaken, called Till There Was You. She liked that a lot. But then the next song started with She Was Just 17, and you know what I mean. Mom thought that was horrible. 17, you're not even an adult yet, and they're singing about teenagers. I liked the song. I liked all the songs. So there was a push and pull. My parents gave me a guitar and guitar lessons because they thought I was developing a talent. I was hoping that fame would come from all this work that I was doing. In the meantime, we took trips to Florida, ate dinner at my grandmother's house, waited for snowfall in the wintertime and school days, and eating at my grandma's house on Sunday. But rock and roll never left, and religion never left. I was fully engrossed in both. Is it a sin? Yeah, we played it, but eventually it wore itself out. But it turned out to be the way I measured everything in life. Is it okay? Is it not okay? Is it a sin yet? This is what I was thinking. These were my thoughts when I met Billy. Met him by chance at a flea market. We were both looking at art. I showed him what I was doing. phone art, and he really liked it. I couldn't believe it. Billy invited me out to lunch. We talked about art. Mostly I listened to him talk about what he liked, what he didn't like, the kind of art he wanted to collect. He didn't want to collect high-priced art from well-known artists. He wanted guys like me who had never exhibited their work in museums or places like art galleries. Billy wanted to discover something. He wanted to discover the next great, yet unknown artist, and he convinced me that I might be one of those. He was looking for something different, and I held it in my hand. I told him phone art was going to be the next big thing. He cradled my phone in his hand and scrolled through my Instagram posts. There was about 1,000, maybe 2,000 of them in there. And then he made noises like he was eating something very delicious. These were the first paintings or pictures that I gave him. He paid me $800 a piece for each of them. And with the money he gave me, I had them blown up and framed, mounted and framed, I should say. I like the way they look after they were framed. A month later, he bought my Magic Hour paintings, also for $800 a piece. I got them blown up, mounted, framed. Billy reeled me in with gourmet meals, nice restaurants, and flattery, everything I needed. And then he asked if I might be interested in driving a van for him. He offered me $1,000 a week to drive the van. It'd be a 5-day-a-week job, picking some people up, taking them to work, and then dropping them off again at night. Easy peasy, I thought. Is it a sin yet? No, it's not. But I had no idea the business that Billy was really into. My first job, or my first night on the job, was to meet at the port of Tampa, where some big container ships were coming in. There were boxes to unload, or there were shipping containers to unload. I didn't know what the shipping containers had in them, but I waited, parked in a dark area where nobody could see me. And then, to my surprise, several young ladies were put in the van. They were crying, they were upset, they spoke broken English at best. The first words out of their mouth, "Can you help us?" I thought I had to try, but I didn't even know what the game was. What was I really involved in here? And then one shouted out, "Verkeer, verkeer," in bad English. That means traffic. They were being trafficked. Verkeer, verkeer. Is it a sin yet? Yeah, absolutely it's a sin to be involved with people who are going to traffic young, innocent women to another country and use them for who knows what. Yeah, I was in up to my neck in bad, bad things. Verkeer, verkeer echoed in my head all night. And what was I going to do? It was nothing more than a bad boy's dream. Or a boy's bad dream. My dream. The wheels turned, and my compromising mind made excuses. Maybe these girls were on some kind of a trip. Maybe they were exchange students. Maybe this whole thing was a game show and I was an unwitting participant. Every excuse I made sounded hollow, sounded bad to me, and I'm sure it would have sounded bad to the authorities. In fact, in the back of my mind, somebody was screaming or something was screaming, go to the police, talk to the cops. You're not in deep enough. You haven't done anything. No, not necessarily true. I was involved in a robbery. And although Billy tried to keep me out of it, I was just sitting in the truck waiting for the word to take this stuff to the graveyard. I was up to my neck. I was involved. So that's when I started making these little films, these little 30, 40-minute deals. I'm going to put this phone somewhere, and I'm going to let somebody find it. And when they do, and if they do anything with it, I will be long gone. I'll be a voice on tape. I'll be a picture. But that's it. I'm trying really hard right now to erase myself. At the same time, I keep wondering about these girls. Where they might be. Where are they? What kind of trouble are they in? Billy assured me at one point they weren't being used for prostitution. He could get anybody to do that. He could get anybody off the street and pay them. In fact, he did, and I'll get into that later, but these girls were something special, he said. They were designed for something, I don't know. He tried to act like it was a big government thing, but I couldn't believe Billy would be involved in anything that complex. So I started looking for Billy because he didn't seem to be anywhere. It seemed like he'd vanished. I went to his house. I watched his wife and kids through the windows. There didn't seem to be a problem. Everybody seemed to be happy. They were eating dinner. I never rang the bell, and I never got close enough to be detected. I went to his trucking company, a supposedly legitimate one, and business as usual. Truckers came, truckers went, loads were loaded and unloaded. I didn't go in and ask about Billy. I didn't know who knew what, and I didn't want to get too nosy. But nothing seemed out of the ordinary. One of his kids played football at a local high school. And so one Friday night I went to one of his games, watched him play. It was pretty good. He's not a bad wide receiver. I went hoping to find Billy somewhere in the crowd, but I didn't. His wife and kids were there, but that was it. His family life was something I never really knew about. Billy never talked about it. We talked about art. We went to fancy places to eat, and we talked about the job. He acted in some cases like I was a partner, in other cases like I was an employee. I had no idea. Till one night, There was an envelope outside my door. I don't know who put it there. But it was sitting there. I picked it up. I opened it. And the note said, Billy is gone. He no longer exists. He was no longer useful. And so he was taken care of. I don't have the note in front of me, but that's pretty much what it read, or how it read.
Shots full of your heartbeat. It's amazing. I can hear it now. Of your heartbeat.
Alarm. They request emergency. 345 on me. Do that email. 230 Shane Round. Grid 33 Alpha. Drive, the Riverside Drive.
Press triple one.
I'm Charlie Bravo.
Press it again.
There on emergency.
Just go to your phone and put the mouse.
Can't even.
Probably like 4.5.